All right. Good evening, sports fans. Tonight is International Ball episode night. And we have with us correct me if I'm wrong, Tom, the founder of International Ball, Tom Rajabzadeh.
Hey, thanks for having me on. Great to be here. And that was a great pronunciation of my last name. Thank you, Vince.
You're welcome, Tom. And also joining us is my co-host, veteran sports journalist, Brian Yalu.
Yeah, good evening, everybody. I already had some exchange notes already with Tom earlier, but I got a lot of very interesting topics, so please listen in.
All right. Well, first question, Tom. How did international ball come about? Was it your idea? Was it your concept?
It's international ball has gone through multiple branding over the years. I mean, it first started in 2008. You know, when I was either traveling, maybe early stages of the Facebook, that matter. When I was traveling with either the national team or going to the NBA Summer League or NBA D-League Showcase, I was just sharing some, about my experiences of basketball news as I was traveling. It's got us to this point, and it's evolved. So multiple branding to get it to the international ball phase. Yes.
And you've represented some players. Would you mind if I ask who are some of these players you've represented before?
Well, being privileged as working in the agency side for many years, I've represented a lot of the players, coaches, management, scouts, trainers, just a lot of the Canadian or international over the years. I think it's been to be honest, it's been more than a few. Over the years, but it's certainly been a privilege.
What has been the most challenging part about representing players, regardless of nationality, whether they're amateur or college or semi-professional or professional?
I think they all have their own challenges. I mean, from my point of view, everyone has their own destiny per se. And I think every player has their own career path from amateur to pro. And you learn it very quickly is that not all players are bound to the same path to making it, eventually to the NBA or whatever their goals may be. Some may be making it to the national team, some may be making it to certain league, and some may just be income driven. I think in terms of career planning, it's a very wide subject that when it comes to individual resume and individual players and their upside potential.
What is your number one non-negotiable or deal breaker when it comes to accepting players who you will represent?
Deal breaker. Deal breaker. That's a very good question. I think it comes down to the work ethics. I think work ethic, you just can't beat work ethics. I think that's one of the items that, I think you see it in, living here in Toronto, Canada is such one of the most competitive markets in the world because of the shared border with the US and just geographical location and the caliber of basketball, which is every year it has evolved and grown. You may have talent, but if you don't have work ethics, that's going to limit you in terms of, whether you're starting or you're trying to keep going on your career.
Was there ever a time you've had to literally globe-trot across the world, traveling from one continent to the next, maybe from Europe and then Asia because of your clients?
I'm sorry, I didn't understand your question.
Was there ever a time, Tom, where you've had to travel literally across the world? So, for example, from Europe the next day, and then you travel to Asia, and then maybe to North America the next day because of your clients.
Yes, yes, it's happened a few times, maybe more than a few times. I remember, being part of, I guess, 2015 U.S. Select Team William Jones Cup, where it was just literally after the NBA Summer League, so I had to travel from there, and then we had to get back to regular swing of things from all the way from Vegas to all the way to Asia, and then from Asia back to Canada. So it was, it happens sometimes.
All right, Brian.
Yeah, thank you, Vince. I'd like to ask Tom. I mean, how are you dealing right now with the pandemic with your leagues? But we talked about this earlier. Maybe you can share with us the struggles that you're also dealing with right now.
Well, look, obviously, because of the global pandemic, COVID-19 shut down a lot of basketball around the world, and vaccinations have been doing well in Canada. So, there's still some to go. But as the new rules and regulations come to place, basketball is starting to get back into swing of things like other sports as well. And I think government policies, I think vaccine passport has been, one of the recent announcements that allows fans to come to the arena. Hence why you have more sports activities, going. So I personally have been a basketball star for the past 2 years, so I'm looking forward to getting to some level of normalcy.
Yeah, speaking of basketball stars, you have quite a number of Canadians in the NBA right now. And maybe there is no name that stands out other than Steve Nash, who is the coach of the Brooklyn Nets. What can you say about that?
No, I think Steve Nash is obviously one of the guys from my generation, and from moving on from player, two-time NBA MVP, and becoming, having had a stellar career, and and now the head coach of the Brooklyn Nets, and so and there are many more. I mean, you see when you look at a lot of the Canadian basketball icons. I mean, through different generations that played in the NBA, be it from a player perspective, be it from a coach's perspective, or even management level. But right now, this last 10 years has been, you see that there's more of the new Canadians that are being drafted and having a successful start to their NBA careers.
Are there any upcoming Canadians we should be watching out for?
I think there are more than a few. I think you probably will see them in the national team, hopefully in Philippines. I think we will see as the qualifications go on. There's still a bit of wait till qualifying for 2023. Obviously, Canada playing in the FIBA Americas is a very one of the most, probably the most competitive conferences to qualify. I think, but in a long or grand scheme of things, I think Canada is on the right path in terms of not only producing players to the world market, not just the NBA, but also for its national teams.
Okay, so you said yourself you've faced the Philippines in several competitions. What can you say about the basketball craze here?
Oh, I love Philippines. I love the Philippines basketball. I love the whole enthusiasm and the just the fanship. I think when I first experienced it, obviously in 2015 William Jones Cup, I was part of a U.S. Select Team that played there, and we played against the Philippines national team. When I saw the fans coming in the parking and the arena, it was all sold out. And it's I think it's it's awesome, I think, to have that atmosphere, to have that, sort of shared enthusiasm for the game. But we also have a Filipino community here in Canada. So I mean, we're very multicultural here, especially in Toronto or the region, Greater Toronto area, where there is a lot of different communities, different ethnic communities. One as such is Filipino communities, who are very involved in basketball. So I think you probably have heard a few that have made the transition and played in the PBA over the past few years.
Any particular player that comes to mind when I mention PBA to you?
I would say probably one of the top ones would be Matthew Wright.
Okay.
I mean, I saw him grow up as a fan, just watching him, and and how he's done. I think that's one of the guys I think is done well for the national team in the Philippines, and continues to have a good career.
All right. Okay. Vince, back to you first.
Tom, you've been around the game for a very long time. Is there a distinction you can make among European basketball, Asian basketball, and the Americas basketball, the way they play the game?
Wow, that's a very good question, but yet a tough one, because there are so many elements that go to that, in my view, and that is obviously when you look at, I mean, you could simply look at the geographic area of Europe and how the countries are so close to each other. So they have not only their local play, but they also have the ability to play a number of international play. So the leagues are very intertwined. So whether it be at FIBA Champions League or the Euro Cup or the Euro League, so it really that allows that internet from a European perspective. It's suffice proof to say that it really enhances the caliber of basketball when you internationalize it, when you globalize it that way, that the way Europeans have done it. But you also look at it from Asia. I think Asia has done, again, the basketball has been, from my view, is seeing it, has been enjoying it, because when you look at East Asia and also West Asia, which is a very large continent, biggest continent in the world. So, and also with the addition of Australia, New Zealand into this, I think that also increases the caliber of national team play. But now recent announcement with the East Asian Basketball League, and then the new addition of new regulations of allowing local passport players playing in neighboring countries. I think that allows to again raise the caliber of basketball. And of course, the Americas. When you look at it, I think Americas, North America and South America, I think. I think it's all, traditionally speaking, one culture of basketball. Everything obviously led by NBA, and it'll trickle down to the competition that they have, with the national teams, and of course the FIBA Americas. Primarily has been in Latin America. I think for the first time ever, one of the Canadian team out of the Canadian Elite Basketball League, which is a summer league here, that was started just before the start of the COVID-19. And and you'll see that culture going because of the dominance of the NBA, and other leagues will try to emerge, not only from Latin America, but also from North America, like Canada.
Are you still representing players, Tom?
I am at the moment. I am not representing. My focus has been on international ball. One of the subsidiaries of the agency, that its focus has been, covering international basketball news from professional leagues and national teams. And more so thanks to COVID-19. If there is any negative we can turn to a positive, is from that is being able to put a face into a lot of these conversations through different shows and using the platform which was already established in 2008 and being able to continue building from a digital media standpoint view.
If you were representing players now, how challenging would it be for you from a mental standpoint, especially with the players, with the pandemic and all? And it's easy for them to physically prepare for a game. How about mentally? How would you deal with your clients who may have some mental health issues or mentally challenging issues?
Well, the mental health has been the forefront. It's been the subject that's everybody has been talking about, and obviously because of COVID-19 and with the addition of COVID-19 and other issues that it brought to the table, it's made it extreme to extreme. Some players have the ability to digest it well and adjust to it. Some players have had have had a difficult time to deal with it. And you see it in the NBL right now. Some players are still having problems with getting a vaccine. Some players that have just still having trouble digesting this. How to approach this, and whether they or their management team, they would be able to figure out a solution to these new times. But it certainly is not easy, and I think the conversation will continue.
All right, Brian, back to you.
Well, yeah, I mean, Tom, you mentioned it, this issue about getting the jab or not. We all know the issue between Kyrie Irving and what's in the NBA right now. Are you having that same problem on your end?
Look, I mean, you saw, I think, from a Canadian perspective, the last one that I heard, I think it was that was in the news, was Andrew Wiggins that had hadn't made up his mind, and he felt that he wanted to keep that private for private reasons. But then ended up I think getting vaccinated in order to play for his Golden State team. So, but I think with the start, once the the NBL Canada will get going again, I think you'll find out more. I think the border right now is opening now. I think the passport law, the vaccine passport, it helps a lot of the teams and it protects a lot of the fans, it protects the players, it protects everybody, and so I think much better times are ahead.
It's really an issue. I mean, I don't know. I think Andrew Wiggins said something about, well, I don't know, something more like that. Also, I was browsing on NBL Canada. There was one name that really interested me. I don't know if you're still familiar with him, Gabe Freeman.
Of course.
Okay.
Another good success there. Enjoyed a good a year or two in the Philippines.
Yeah, so I was wondering, what do you best recall about Gabe when he played in the NBL? I understand he was also the MVP and won a championship there.
That's right. Gabe Freeman was one of the top players here, I think, during I think more when the NBL Canada was approaching sort of half a decade mark. He helped London team to win multiple championships, and had a great career. He brought it all every day on the court. Did a fantastic job on and off the court. From my view as a fan watching him here, it was good. It was good to watch Gabe, certainly.
Okay, I asked you this earlier. What's your take on the players here in the Philippines being taken from other countries? I mean, they're getting our players here, our star players here. Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
Well, look, I think that's for the local federation and the local leagues to decide what is best for the Philippines basketball. But from my stand, I mean, all the way from across the pond looking down or looking the other side of East Asia, I mean, I think it's in a grand scheme of things, these experiences allow the growth of personal horizons of the players because of allowance of these players to play in different leagues. They gain different experiences. They learn different ways of playing the game, and it really, at the long term, when they come back, and someday they will come back to play in a local league, I think it just increases the caliber of the player because they all bring those experiences. And as a result, so I think the national team will benefit a lot from.
Yeah, that's true. Actually, the national team. I'll put you in a spot, Tom. What if you're you're holding one of these leagues and your star players are moving to other countries? What recourse would you do to fill up that void?
Well, look, I think you have to have. It's not, again, easier said than done. In reality of things, no league that I know likes that, to lose their star players to other leagues. While especially the Philippines basketball is so competitive, but I think you have to be innovative. You have to be innovative, and you have to have a backup plan. I think where there's difficulty, it presents opportunity, in my view. I think you look to invest in your younger players. You bring in a lot of the younger players, and now you give them a chance for them to prove themselves. Maybe this year or the next will be a year of development. And again, if this difficulty is used as an opportunity, at the long scheme of things, it will benefit the national team.
Thanks, Tom. Vince, back to you.
Tom, Canada has its own, I think, semi-professional or professional league over there, right?
Yeah, professional.
And how do you see that league developing in the next few years?
Look, when you talk about NBL Canada or Canadian Elite Basketball League, NBL Canada enjoys a season from, depending when the schedule reads, at some point between November or December, well into April. And then I think it's the Canadian Elite Basketball League that starts after that as a summer league that a lot of players move on to. I mean, this was so before COVID, but I think it's been a good platform. It's been a good platform because obviously not everybody makes it to the NBA. You have, here in Canada, we have hundreds of players that are going to play in the U.S. colleges. And then from there, obviously those great ones, they get drafted to the NBA or they go to the NBA G League. But then there is a huge talent pool of players that, if they don't make it, internationally, then they need a place to play. And I think that's been really good for both of those leagues and a lot of the minor leagues in the U.S. also, to allow their platform to, for players to develop and put themselves in position for, international markets or emerging jobs.
What are your thoughts on the, excuse me, what are your thoughts on the present style of play in the NBA, the space and pace type of play? Do you miss the old physicality, the knock 'em down, grind it out style of play in the 90s and 2000s?
You know what? I think the NBA game has evolved, obviously, and so I think you're comparing a more new NBA to the more traditional NBA. Both have had its best times in the NBA, or they're enjoying their new times. And I think it's more so because of the style of what players are doing. I mean, players like Steph Curry that have they've changed the game. They've stretched the game now, and so it's become probably from more entertainment because of you got more athletic, more physical players that are more skillful now that than they traditionally were. Now I know that some would argue this to a point that say, hey, there were a lot of physically talented, skilled players then too. But I think there was less of them. But now I think the training, development, the technology, the science has allowed the players to be able to take fully advantage. And I think one of the reasons you're seeing players having longer careers also. But I'm for both. I enjoy the game. I'm a student of the game. I try to learn. I think more we look back to the past, the more we can learn from the history. But then using that experience where we can learn a lot from the new days, and I think both approaches are great for the game. I think it makes the game interesting.
Let's go back to when you were representing players. What's the most unique contract clause that your players or your clients requested from you? Because I'm sure you know that when Michael Jordan used to play, there's a clause in his contract called "For the Love of the Game," wherein the Chicago Bulls allow him to play wherever he wants, whether a pickup game or a 5-on-5 at Rucker Park, for example. Did you have any requests or unique clauses in your contracts with your clients?
I try to keep it very simple. I mean, a lot of that, outside the NBA. I mean, you look at primarily, a lot of players that has had requests on bringing more of their extended families to where they live. I think those requests have been sort of out of the norm. But nothing I could say that would be out of the the normal agreements in my own personal experiences. I'd say.
Well, you mentioned the Filipino community in Toronto. Are there any Filipino Canadian players, to your knowledge, good players coming out of Toronto?
That's a good question. You know what? I can't say for the last 2 years because I haven't actually gone out to see the gyms. So I don't have any names to say right now. But I know there are a few that have been doing well. I think maybe Christian David that's been playing college basketball, 6'7" athletic wing. I watched him during his high school, but that's not recent. And again, we've been quarantining for the last 2 years, so I don't have any new names to tell you from not being in the gym. So.
All right. Well, we only have a few minutes left, Tom. We know you're very busy. You're a busy man, and we'd like you to use to say your final words. If there's anything anyone you'd like to greet, or anything you'd like to promote.
Well, Vince and Brian, I want to thank you both, first of all, for hosting this show and the wonderful work you guys doing promoting game of basketball, not only in Philippines, but your region, the whole World Wide Web. As for me, I'd say I encourage the fans, feel free to follow our social media platforms on the Facebook, International Ball at Internation Ball, and just www.internationalball.tv. Feel free to visit those sites and subscribe and stay in touch with us, as we are going to be working with you to cover a lot more about the Philippines basketball, because we enjoy Filipino Canadian community here, and a lot of people we enjoy the NBA basketball. At times, we want to know how country of our origin did sometimes, and being having multiple different ethnic communities here in Toronto, Canada, then especially Filipino descent, then obviously Philippines hosting the World Championships in 2023. So I think it'll be good to breach the gaps and create those channels to as a sportsman through these tough times to hopefully have some sports-like conversations.
And okay, so thank you very much, Tom. Thanks for your time. Despite your busy schedule, thank you for coming on the program.
My pleasure. Thank you for doing this. It's a great conversation, guys. Well done.
Yeah, thank you, Tom. And I hope we can talk
Brian?
again, because you have a lot of interesting content. I went through your websites and whoa, you're oozing with content.
Thank you. I look forward to staying in contact with you and bringing more basketball news from Philippines to the international community.
Yeah, I think Vince can do that.
Look forward to it.
All right, thank you, Vince.
Thank you. All right.
All right. Good luck, Tom, with the partnership with the EuroLeague. And I owe you a few articles. So
No problem. I look forward to it. Thank you so much.
all right. Take care, Tom. Stay safe.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye, Tom.
And that ends another episode of Sports for All. Thank you, Tom, for your time. And thank you, viewers, for your time. So long.